Hi, this is Angela, and this video is about connecting with the heart, and it's part of a series that goes through the chakras, starting with the root chakra. Today we're looking at the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is typically connected to our emotions. And if you're watching the video, you'll see in the background I have a picture where the water is reflected in the sky, or the sky colors are reflected in the water. So the connection between the heart, the spiritual heart center, the heart chakra, and our sacral chakra is exactly like this when it comes to our emotions. The emotions that we experience, we often can be feeling or picking up in our sacral chakra, which is our lower belly, underneath the belly button or close to the belly button area. And it's often connected with feelings of not being so good, but also feelings of creativity and desire, and feeling very excited and passionate as well. However, the difference between the sacral energy and the heart is that the heart is more able to balance the emotions, where the sacral chakra may take you into many directions and be swept away with the emotion. Similar to the water energy, if you're in the water, you can be swept away with it, whereas in the sky, it's a much more gentle or still energy. And that's the different qualities of our heart and our sacral centers. So one of the things I wanted to clarify is that the heart is not your emotions. The heart, spiritual heart center, we may feel things with our heart, but the sacral center is where the emotions are really experienced at a very strong emotional area. So when you're emotional, you're not actually in your heart chakra. You may be experiencing things at the heart center, but that's not the heart chakra that you're picking up with. So there is a strong connection between our sacral and our heart chakra, which is always trying to work things out for us so that we learn from the emotions. And this is one of the challenges with the sacral energy, which I discovered as a performer and in my love relationships. Often I would get very passionate as a performer, which is great because performers express those emotions for us. But then I found that when I was passionate in my relationships, it didn't work out so well. And people would say, you're being too sensitive, you're being too emotional. They would tell me basically to calm down and turn down the volume of my emotions. And I got very confused because on stage, that passion could be received well, or in a certain expression of a song, it would be interpreted really passionately, and that would get good feedback. But in my relationships, I was told the volume of the emotion was too much and I was getting swept away with the emotion. So I had to understand why I was feeling so intense in the emotions. And the benefit of connecting my heart chakra to the sacral chakra was I was able to interact with the emotion. So maybe you know people who are very emotional. Maybe you're one of those people. And do you ever notice how you get swept away with the emotion, and how in our movies and in our love songs, that's a really great thing, but it also can end up in a bad place? That's the sort of ongoing dance that we have with our emotions. They can take us to amazing places, but then they can overwhelm, pretty much like the water energy. You can have a beautiful body of water and it can make you feel wonderful, but then when it floods, you're not so happy about water. And even some people can be traumatized after having a flood. The same with our emotions. When they're too overwhelming, they take us into places of overwhelm. So a simple intuitive exercise I can share with you today, and I have many more of these exercises inbuilt into the work I do on healing relationships to interact with the emotions that you feel. Emotions, when you're feeling them in the sacral area, are always going to be, how are other people perceiving you, and feeling a judgment or a feeling of not so greatness or joy over how they are perceiving you. That will be the feeling part of it. What we do when we integrate the heart center with the sacral center and the emotions that are coming up for you about whether you're good enough, whether they like you, whether you're popular enough, whether what you said was the right thing or the wrong thing, all of that cycle of emotional drama around whether you are acceptable enough, is really seeing from the heart that you are valuable, and what is the significance of the emotion that you're experiencing to help you grow as a person, as a spiritual person as well, but as a human being experiencing emotions. Emotions are complicated. So sometimes those emotions keep you in a cycle of drama. You keep on experiencing them. You have one relationship and there's an emotional drama. And then you have another relationship, completely different person, same emotional drama. So that cycle is there for a reason. But if we're only looking at it from the sacral area or from the emotional feeling of it, we can get stuck there. So the simple exercise, whenever you're having an emotion, the first step is to start to find a way to distance yourself from it and to find the significance. Why are you experiencing this emotion? So I can share that with you quickly. And you simply just notice when you're feeling an emotion, where are you feeling it in your body? Step one, when you're experiencing emotion, where are you feeling it in your body? You could be feeling it everywhere. You could feel it in the whole house. Some of our emotions are enormous, and sometimes you'll feel it in one part or two parts or several parts of the body, or it starts in one place, and it doesn't matter where. Emotions will travel in you in all different ways. But just allowing yourself to explore that will stop you getting trapped in the cycle. The second step is to connect to heart. So I've shared many ways to do this, but the fastest is simply by putting your hand on your heart center and allowing yourself to feel your heart center. And taking time to do that, because when we're emotional, we don't want to do that. We want to be caught in the feeling. And sometimes emotions have to be large to get our attention. So once you have been able to calm down or be able to connect to your heart, and that can come with practice. It doesn't always happen easily. You might need to practice meditation to get there, to be able to do this. But once you are able to connect to heart, you can ask yourself, what's the significance of this emotion? Meaning, what is this emotion trying to show me that I need to understand? What's the significance of your emotion? Ultimately, our emotions are trying to get us to go beyond thinking, am I good enough? To what's the purpose of me experience this emotion so I can resolve that mystery and so I can move to a different, higher perception of myself. And I'll give you a concrete example. So you may be in love relationships where you're constantly attracting a certain person that makes you feel not enough. What would be the purpose of that? I mean, that's a pretty unhappy state of existence. When you start to feel into your heart chakra, you can actually start to ask a question: what's the purpose of feeling not good enough all the time in these relationships? And you may not get a voice, or you may not get a message, you may not get an answer straight away. But what it starts to do is help you to see the pattern. You're attracting experiences where you feel not good enough and you feel less and you feel uncomfortable about that. And then you start to see perhaps you need to build something in your life about your worth. You need to see where you are worthy. And it's such a simple step, and it's so obvious that it's so easy to get addictive into the feeling of not being enough. That seems to be a habit, and it's comfortable and it's familiar, but it may be unfamiliar to you to see where you are worthy, where you are significant. And this step of just connecting to heart and asking, what's the significance of this feeling, whatever you are feeling or feeling not enough? It actually starts to build your self-worth. You build a relationship between your heart, looking at yourself in a completely compassionate, accepting way. You're just accepting your feeling and emotion, and you want to go beyond it, or you want to understand yourself better. Most of our problems in relationships are we're too fast to skip beyond these emotions. And so relationships can also end because we don't give time to the relationship, where we start to really understand the emotions that are being shown and the significance. Why are these emotions there? And we also, unfortunately, have a limbic brain that gets addicted to the cycle of the emotion. Tony Robbins calls it the figure eight, the drama of the emotion. You have the emotion, and then you go back down into feeling stable. But then because of the unresolved emotion, you go back into feeling the discomfort of the emotion. So you can go beyond that by connecting to heart. So these series of connecting with the heart are to open you to different ways to look at the chakras and the relationship between the heart center and the 7 chakras in our body. And we're going to continue the series with each chakra and look at a different way to relate to it. And I share different body exercises to help you ground that connection between the actual spiritual center in the heart with the chakra as well, through all of the work that I do, the movement work, and also I'm developing an intuition course. So if you want to know more about the intuition course, I've got a survey below to ask you questions, what you're looking for, and I'll keep you in touch once that course is up and running. But I'm really interested in finding out, what are you looking for in developing your intuition? It's an enormous part of how we can navigate with the heart moving forward as a species. And it's also a really easy way to move through life versus trying to be what everybody else wants you to be. So check out the link in the description below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching.